So last week I broke it, but that didn't answer all of my questions. One of the questions that I keep asking myself is how strong is this part up here? That's the part that the screw pushes against. We know that the center hinge broke, but how much force can this one take? So I'm going to set up a little thing here to test that. So I'm going to get it put in here and put these two blocks in and have this push against that. Just want to point out that the screw is very loose inside the dowel now because it went sideways and kind of reamed out the hole. Another thing to point out is that this part is already partially smashed where it pressed against the vise before. Alright, ready to go. I'm just going to center the dowel in the thing here and start tightening it up. Thing is, it wants to skate around on that end piece there, and it's kind of making it go off to one side again. But it's really taking a lot of force. Okay, I can see that it's starting to break here. Yeah, there it goes. Another problem that I discovered is that the permanent thread locker doesn't seem to be up to the task. This nut is just turning freely now. So the permanent thread locker is not so permanent after all. It failed under the stress of just breaking the clamp and breaking it further today. So you can see that it's all stripped out. Now I know you're probably saying, well, did you clean it and all? Yes, I cleaned it, and it just failed. So I think a better way to do that is to slightly crush the nut and beat up the thread somewhat, put a little bit of epoxy on there, turn the nut on. It's called an interference fit, and what it does is it jams on there tight so that it doesn't move. I actually did that with the first one here, the prototype, the first one that I made, and it doesn't move at all. So that would be the better way. The nut is loose on the threaded rod. You can see that wiggling there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it and I'm going to flatten it without flattening my fingers, hopefully. Not a lot, just enough so that it tightens up on the threaded rod and it doesn't wiggle anymore. Still needs a little bit more. Notice my sissy grip. A little bit more. You know, with the camera on, I'm afraid now I'm going to hit my fingers, because that's the kind of thing that happens when the camera is on. So I'm going to play it safe, you know, and oh, wow, see, there it goes. Held the vice grips. I'll check it. Maybe I think I might have gone too far, a little bit angry maybe. Yeah, it's a little bit tight, so I'm just going to take some back. And yeah, it's just tight on the threaded rod. So that's that part. I got the nut squashed. Next, I've marked on the threaded rod where this nut needs to end so that I don't mess up the threads beyond it. So I'm just going to put that on the edge of the vise here and pound on that with the edge of my hammer. Flatten those threads. So I've threaded the nut on most of the way, not up to the flattened part yet, and I've got some 5-minute epoxy, very small amount that I'm going to mix up, and then I'm going to get that on the threads on this side of the nut so that when the nut threads on, it'll thread on over that. Now this nut is already very tight. I actually had to put the handle in the vise so that I could turn it. Now I'm just going to turn the nut until it reaches my mark. Next I can get the washer put on, and then the other dowel and the other washer, And I've already flattened this nut. All I need to do is smash this thread a little bit. I'm just going to lay that on the anvil. Try not to hit the washer. Get the epoxy on the threads. Get this threaded on. And you want to leave some slack there so that the dowel is free to move like that and can rotate easily. And just a little bit tighter. And that's it. Let that set up. So I still have my apparatus for testing the clamp strength, and if you recall last week, this is where I got to with the metal bar clamp. I'm going to try it with one of my oldest wooden bar clamps, and these red ones. And this one is kind of broken there already, so I'm not worried if it breaks. I just want to see how much pressure it develops over this span. That's one of the questions I get, you know, how effective are these wooden clamps at clamping? And as you can see, mainly because I can get a better grip on the handle, I've equaled the metal bar clamp already. And I can go further. Let's stop there. But you can see that that develops a lot of pressure. Among my homemade wooden clamps, the red one is the one that I consider to be the weakest. What I feel is my strongest is this one right here. It is reinforced with the 1/4 inch threaded rod along its length. We'll see how this one works. Start cranking it down. The handle on this one's a little bit smaller, so it's a bit harder to turn. Now, I've gone past the point where I would be, you know, tightening if I was clamping a glue up. I'm just going to try to get a little bit more. I can't turn it anymore now. But yeah, you can see that I went further than the metal bar clamp. And there's no sign of stress on the clamp at all. So here it is, the improved version. I'll show you the things that I did to improve it. I didn't do a whole lot to the original design. I just changed this dowel here from 3/4 inch to 1/2 inch. And I added this and this on both sides, and that reinforces those two joints. Okay, so now that it's done, let's give it a little test. I'm not going to break it. I'm going to see how much pressure it can develop without breaking it this time. I want to keep this one. It's doing pretty good. Still feels very solid. I don't want to turn it much more than that. It's actually putting quite a lot of force on here. Certainly enough for a glue up. So that's it, works well. I'm very pleased with the very simple alterations that I made to it to, I think, triple or quadruple the strength that it had. Certainly it's a very useful clamp now, and I think I'll make some more. I had one comment asking what is the advantage of this clamp over, say, another type of clamp. I don't think that there's any real advantages. It certainly can clear. It has a clearance thing where you can get it and then there's nothing around it type thing, so it reaches in and grabs without, you know, a bar or a handle above. So that could be one advantage. The other advantage is that it looks cool. I think it looks cool. So I just wanted to make it for that. Tomorrow morning I've got another video. It's actually something a little bit different for me. It's a hand tool video. So stay tuned for that. Okay, so I broke it. I got a hunch down. That's no good.